Okay. We are back. Here we go. Let's try this again. Starting fresh. We are back, guys. Welcome everyone who is still here from the last stream and who is new joining for the commentary. But welcome back to OBF1 round 3 at Abu Dhabi for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We just had short qualifying. We saw an amazing lap from Mitch to put him P2, and an even better lap from XD to put himself P1, and then it was can't remember who it was, P3, but oh, that's right, it was, where is he? The Merc of Jesse, who took up P3 in this race. He's done well. These guys are gonna have to remember their setups. That's very important. But it was a short qualifying, very entertaining qualifying. We saw P3 in the championship. He's in the championship fight. H Taylor get taken out on a flying lap as the driver came across the track and he just ran into him. So he's going to be starting last in this race with unfortunate qualifying. But if these drivers do change onto the wrong tyres, and they do decide to use those in the top 10, that is, if they do decide to use the medium tyres because they were qualified on the softs, then they will unfortunately be given a 20-second time penalty for using the incorrect tyre, of course. But nonetheless, this should be an entertaining race. 28 laps of Abu Dhabi. The top strategy is a soft to mediums or medium to soft strategy quite easily. Both tyres can go quite long. You can probably stretch the mediums around about 20 to 25 laps, I reckon, like if you really wanted to, and then you could stretch the softs to around about 15 to like 16, 17 laps. So they go very, very, very long. But we're just waiting on one driver left to join the lobby, so that it's a full lobby of drivers, of course, and then we will get underway for the race. A few drivers start to ready up, keen to get back underway. I'm gonna go grab myself a drink before race start. I'll catch you guys in a bit. Here we go. I'm excited for this one. Portugal was great last time out, and now we have Abu Dhabi. So this should be fun to watch as people start rating up, and we will get underway soon as everyone readies up, ready for the race. Everyone's got to re-put on their setups and redo they've got to do up their strategy for the race, of course. But this should nonetheless be very, very entertaining. Round 3, at Abu Dhabi, not something you're used to seeing, but of course after this we'll go to the very fun, very entertaining Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, as what it is called. That should be a fun one to both watch and drive for myself. I don't think I'll be spectating that one, but I should be I should be able to race it for myself. We start loading in to the race. We'll sit here for a while, watch everyone's pit crews. We can see the Mercedes pit crew, the Red Bull pit crew, McLaren, all the way down to Williams, of course, across the garage. As the first driver jumped in, they may not have gotten the setup on, so it's going to rush a few drivers. Of course, I just barely got both my setup and my race strategy in time, but nonetheless, it should be fine. 10 seconds to race start. I'm very excited for this race, if I do say so myself. 3, 2, 1, as we get onto grid now. Time to get this race started. And someone was already up, but 5 red lights. And away we go here to Abu Dhabi for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's a good start from XD from Mitch, but Mitch has a little bit of a better one. He might launch one up the inside, he doesn't quite get it, but it allows Jesse to go hold it around the outside of Mitch. He's got the outside line, but Mitch has the inside line. He's going to have to leave him room, and Mitch has to let it off, and that's Jesse already up into P2. Jesse on the back of XD though. He might try something up the inside here. He's not quite going to be able to make anything happen, but further back we got Chuck. And we got a big scrap from these guys. Chuck leading from KLC as Chuckles drops back a position. KLC up into P5. All these drivers in the top 10 have managed to get onto the right set of tyres. DRS will be activated until lap 3. No issues throughout the field. Of course, it's been very clean start to this race. Much different to what the first one to start in my race, but what a good start from H. Taylor to get now past his teammate. He's starting on a set of medium tyres. His teammate started on a softs, interestingly, but H. Taylor now up into P16 from P20 in this race. But of course, we still got XD leading from Jesse, who got his way up into P2, and then Mitch. These guys have already got a second back to Chuck, who has KLC around the outside of him, which will then turn to the inside and then the outside again. KLC passing up into P4. This man is flying at the moment. He's determined. He's looking quick. He's got some good race pace in this race. It's been a very entertaining lap 1. Chuck is sitting P5 at the moment, still followed by Chuckle P6. There's going to be a lot to say, but you can see KLC, KLC already pulling a gap to these guys, 0.8 of a second. But of course, the gap to these guys, these front pack, is quite big. They're all quite close to each other, but because of the scrapping behind, they've managed to pull 2.5 seconds to the closest car. And with all the scrapping and with all the scrapping stuff that will go on, we'll see them hold that thought for a second. Oh, George is around. Oh, George out of the session. Oh, big crash from George. A virtual VSC was called for that one, but H. Taylor is in for a new front wing. He's had some sort of issue. He's had to go on to another set of medium tyres, and again, disastrous for H. Taylor. Not at all what he would have wanted. But of course, that might, if KLC can time this VSC quite well, that can put him back in the mix. He's already pulled a second to the cars behind him, which will be huge in terms of DRS sort of things when DRS is activated. Of course, we may see Jesse try to pressure the likes of XD when DRS is activated. Jesse did a really good lap to put himself P3, but KLC, of course, with a good start, puts itself up to P4, still under VSC, sitting behind. VSC is gone, and they are green. They are back underway, and here they go. They came through the second straight. They're gonna, after this lap, DRS will be enabled for these guys up at the top, but Mitch struggling to hold on, staying just outside a second. He's gonna have to hold on to that second. Didn't get the VSC how he would have wanted, and he's currently sitting just outside. Without DRS, he's going to struggle. He's gonna drop back into the likes of KLC, and it's gonna be a battle between him and KLC. But of course, it shouldn't be too difficult for him to hold on to DRS with how even these guys are on pace. As long as he holds it well, he should hold on to DRS. But you can see he's sitting just on the edge of it at the moment, just outside. But there it is. Race control. DRS is now enabled in this race. Mitch is now well within a second. Jesse only 6/10 behind XD, and Mitch 8/10 behind him. See Short, Marcus, and Mr. C raise up to up positions as Paul Harrison has had to come in, and most likely for a new front wing, I imagine, and it is disappointing from him. He won't be happy with that. He's going to go into a set of hard tyres, try to make it happen to the end, but that's going to be annoying in terms of his race. DRS is enabled. Jesse enables DRS down the front straight. He comes. He's going to close up, but of course it won't be enough. At first, he's going to use a lot of ERS. These guys got to save as much ERS as possible and then just get past when they get the chance. Use that chance to get past. XD and Jesse sitting quite even on ERS, but you can see that XD using quite a lot around there. You can see just how tight they hold it through there. It gains them a little bit of time, but it gains them time. That's the key factor. The fact that they gain time is all that they need. As long as they gain time. As long as they gain time from it, those little bits of time that they find can help them out massively. As we see the first 3-second penalty for corner cutting go to hella high IRS, hella high in P9, and he's going to get he's gonna get get the first 3 second for him slapped on in this race. These guys still sitting quite close up front. It's always entertaining to watch such close racing from these guys. Wheel to wheel, super close. Seeing in DRS, they're gonna be saving it. You of course got the huge. You got these three at the front, pulled away 3.5 to KRC, and then further back, Town on a set of mediums. Okay, I did not notice that before. Did Town? I don't think Town wasn't actually. He was in the top 10, I believe, but on a set of mediums. That was one who I forgot about. That was one who we forgot about. We've got to keep an eye on Town. He's in the top 10 and he's on a set of mediums. He's holding up the cars behind, but that is going to be huge. But here comes Jesse into this next chicane. He looks but doesn't quite get anything done. They're going to come through the chicane now onto the straight. He's going to have some sort of run here. Watch on board with Jesse as he activates DRS. ERS being deployed. He's using all of it. So is XD. They're using everything, but he's going to get the run. He's going to come up to the outside. He goes with DRS under braking. Here they come into the corner. Jesse on the outside, XD on the inside, and Jesse through into Pete, the lead of this race. But it looks like XD trying to come back with him there, but it's not going to work. Mitch still sitting behind, lurking, trying to wait for a move to happen for him. But of course, Town dropping down now into P7 as Chuckle gets past him, and Town's going to now be holding up Chris. He's now going to hold up Chris is going to be looking to find his way past the medium tire runner. You can see just how much more grip he has than him, but he's just got to stay behind, wait for the perfect moment, and get past as Chuck Bravis finds himself with a 3-second time penalty this early in the race. That is not what you want to see. Oh wait, KRC has had an issue. KRC out of this race. I didn't quite see what happened, but KRC is now out of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and that is another virtual safety car. So still no safety car for that, but that very much is VSC, and that is in fact KRC out of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Big problems there. You see a few drivers actually coming to the pits, whether they're coming in for a super early pit stop or whether they're changing stuff. We don't know, as CDM actually is just coming out, so we don't have to worry about him. But of course we've still got Jesse leading from XD. It's going to give Jesse a chance now to just chill, save his ERS, and it will help him defend against XD. But of course Mitch just sitting low on the Delta, not pushing it too much, because the last thing you want to do is try to push Delta and get it perfect and then end up with even more of race time at the end. But you can see he's dropping off. He's 1.2 back now. It is crucial because DRS isn't going to hold up for him and wait for him to close up. He's got to stay within that DRS range, otherwise these guys will start to pull away, and his hopes of the win here today will most likely start to fade away. As you can see, everyone's they slow right down for VSC, and Mitch doesn't have to worry. He just slowed down a bit earlier, as I'm sure we'll be watching as the VSC gets back underway soon. And there we are, VSC back underway, back racing. No penalties for anyone under VSC, and we're back underway. These guys are really close together still at XD down to P2. But of course Jesse had a good race first time. He had a good qualifying first round, of course, but he had a rough race. Currently he's not in the top 10 in the championship, unfortunately, but I'm sure I'm sure after a few races we could see him in the top 10. One who is in the top 10 is who's currently in P3, Mitch. He's P9 in the top 10, sitting on 6 points. Jonathan isn't racing today, and all he's got to do is have a decent race, beat and he'll get points, and he'll go ahead of Jonathan. He's beating SpongeBob right now. He's beating Carlo right now. He's beating Town. He's beating all the drivers ahead of him, but XD. So it's been a great race so far from Mitch to be where he is. Definitely a driver I did not expect to be on the pace coming into this race. You can see Hayes Taylor picks up himself a 3-second time penalty, but you can see just how close XD is getting on the back of Jesse. He's activated DRS, he's going to get DRS, and he's going to retake the lead of this race. You can see him come down the front straight. You can see just how close he gets. Pulls out of slipstream range to the outside. He goes under braking, very much clear, but he tries to get back down the inside. Jesse does, but it's not quite going to work. He's going to get held up, and that is XD back up into the lead of this race. So these guys keep going at it, but you can see, oh, it's wide from Jesse. It's wide behind from Jesse, and there is no move, which was done by the Red Bull of Mitch. But that does give a bit more of a gap to XD, and it gives XD the chance to increase his championship lead. Of course, XD with some amazing pace is going to want to be able to do so. As we see, someone started to drop down the field, but you can short Marcus. He decided, I still want to keep an eye on him. He opted for the medium tyres, and he's sitting P10 at the moment. I know he's quite far away from the guys ahead, and of course I want to keep an eye on Town too, because he's P5 at the moment. He started on mediums, and he's not that far off of these guys. So there's still a lot of people who can bring themselves back into this race, because Short Mark is quite far back. And as much as I want to see him bring it back, I don't know how much I can count on that exactly happening. But XD still very much pushing out in the lead, trying to hold on to lead. The gap is too far back down the first straight, but of course there's 2 straights for them to get him here. Mitch won't be able to have a look on Jesse because he's too far back. It's the only problem about being P3 is you don't have any real advantage unless you use more ERS. But you can see just how much Jesse closes up as he goes late on the brakes through there. How close is Jesse? Is he close enough for a move? He's using all of his ERS. He'll try again. XD using absolutely none. He's using it now. He's noticed he's closing, and he goes to the inside. There goes Jesse on the inside. It'll be the outside for the next corner. He'll hold it inside for the next, and he'll push him out. Oh, but he just about holds it on the outside. XD does. He'll hold around the outside again. These guys are still going side by side, coming through here. It'll be side by side through here and around the outside. He's going to use everything. He's going to hold around the outside, and that is Jesse. Oh, Jesse! Oh, he's lost it. Oh, big incident from Jesse. No. Unfortunate. You couldn't really see from the angle what happened to Jesse, but it really just looked like a case of overtake through there. He pushed a bit too hard, and it just snapped, and then he had to catch it. You can see there the overheated tires are just too much for him, and he'll be coming to the pit. You can see Chris having to do the same. Unfortunate to see from XD, but that is a safety car somehow being formed from all that. Mitch is in. He's had to change the front wing actually, so that's interesting to see from Mitch. But he's in. He's onto a set of mediums. He's pitting now, going to the end of mediums. It is possible, and it is the better strategy. But of course, you got those people who started on the mediums. Those guys are now going to be very much struggling. But XD is opted to stay out. So this could be what Mitch needed. But of course, because of his front wing, he's dropped down to net P3 on this strategy. But you can see as the safety car lines up there, as they all got to pass. They don't want any issues behind the safety car. You can see everyone who has made their pit stops. You can see pit stops. A lot of people made their pit stops. Both Chuckle and Chuck have made their pit stops, and then Mitch. It's unfortunate to see Mitch have to change his front wing. If he didn't have to change his front wing, he would have very much been the net lead on this strategy. But nonetheless, he had to change the front wing. He came in, and this can still very much work out for him. He went to medium tires. Medium tires can make it 20 laps. I did my own practice. I've done this before. I did my race not that long ago. I know mediums very much can go for this long, and I'll be excited to see Mitch do well. But of course, the only problem is XD coming back on fresh set of mediums. No drivers who chose to stay out long coming back on fresh mediums. But of course, the game on the safety car, another aspect to look at, because it could be quite large compared to everyone else. But we'll watch as XD comes up. He'll actually come into the pit, so XD's pitting will be interesting to see where he comes out. They've all been under Delta this entire time, and no one's going to be out of Delta except for SpongeBob soon. But you can obviously XD is going to get jumped. You can see XD doesn't have to change the front wing or anything. He's covering off the strategy from both the Bravos boys and Mitch, and you can see he'll come out. SpongeBob, who's in as well, so he'll come out right in the lead. So these guys have all waited a lap to do it, and well, would you look at that? He's out in the lead. Everyone opting to pit, but those on the medium tyres cannot pit. They have to stay out. But short markers went to another set of mediums, which is an interesting strategy to see. Obviously, he's going to have to still pit again, but he's opted for another set of mediums. That way, he's still on the fresh tyres. So he's opting to P6 now, although he's going to have to make another stop in this race. He's at least got fresh mediums to take him that distance, and he doesn't have to worry about dropping behind rather than gaining. At least now you can push his way up, further up the field. The safety car will only stay out for 2 laps. I imagine we'll have 2 laps on the SC, and then we'll get back underway on lap 10. But what a start it has been. We've seen XD, who now leads from Electric Envy, and then Chuckle Bravis, and then Chuckle Bravis behind him, followed by Chuck Bravis. Then you got Mitch, Short, Marcus, SpongeBob, Dunster, Town, Hella High, CDM, Chris, Jesse, Cairo, Taylor, Mr. C. Rees, Paul Harrison, and then Antonis by. But there's been a 5-second given for contact on the safety car. By the looks of it, it was to Paul Harrison. Oh no, not Paul Harrison, sorry. It might have been given to one of the Haas boys, the 2 Haas boys, but that is quite unfortunate. Let's just be glad this isn't a late SC, because those penalties can fuck you over late in the race, and I do very much know that. Oh god, so Anthony has left the session, but he thought everyone else has left the session, so he's quite far behind, unfortunately. But this is now time for him to catch up. He'll go through, he'll overtake everyone on the SC, and he won't close right up to the back of the pack, but he'll at least be able to gain a little bit of time back on these guys. And unfortunate for him, I'm sure that's not what he wanted, but there's plenty of laps still in this race to make up time. 5 seconds given to Electric Envy to serve for collision with XD, and XD given the same. That could be disastrous. Electric Envy has just hit the back of XD and gotten them both a 5 second. That could ruin XD's race. 5 seconds is a big amount with just how close this grid is. It's going to be hard to make sure that nothing too bad, like he can just run away and do quite well in the tyres, but I'm sure he'll try to get that taken off after the race, because I know I hit someone in the back of SC, but of course mine was due to lag, but it's just, yeah, it's not the best. I'm just trying to check some things out from the previous race, but assemble everything nice. Alright. I'll have to do all that stuff off the stream, but for now, it is up 10. We will be getting back underway soon. You can see XD back up the pack, backing up Envy, as everyone is ready to get back underway shortly. So come around, we'll come up to the line soon, he'll come across the final corner, and he'll bolt when he's ready. You can see him weaving, warming up the tyres. He wants warm tyres, it looks like he's gotten back underway, and he has. He's going quickly. You can see Electric Envy gets a bit of a tail tap there, but of course he's going to be on 10 lap old mediums, which is going to allow XD to pull away despite his penalty. Big C, Mitch is already up into P4. Mitch already passed Chuck Bravis. Good restart from Mitch, for Chuck coming back at Mitch. Mitch has had a bit of an issue there. Mitch, oh, he's struggling. He's up into P5. He's still in P5 though, but of course you got Short Marcus coming at him now. P2 in the championship. Short Marcus is going to try on the braking, but it's not quite going to work. Mitch nice and late on the braking. Good defending by Mitch. As you can see, all Town starts to drop down the field, and that's unfortunate for Town, but Jesse still back up to P12 in this race. A lot of action going on at the moment, but of course the Electric Envy is on 10 lap on mediums. These guys are all on fresh tires. These guys are all going to try to fight their way through. But we got 5 lap old softs. That's also going to be one to watch out for, because obviously he's going to have to pit again. But everyone else, they pit under SE. Everyone else has good tires. So Mitch is currently sitting what I would say would be net P3, but of course with XD pitting and him having to serve his wing, he didn't quite get as close to it as I'm sure he would have liked. Because if he had been close enough, he probably would have been fighting for the win in this race, which would have been very good to see from Mitch. That is for sure. But of course you can see these guys still sitting quite far behind each other. So, DRS won't be activated for a while now, but they're all over the back of each other. You can see CDM holding up an entire field of people behind him. You can see Jesse is the next person who needs to overtake him, but you can see there's just such a big gap to those guys, which is now dropped down a little bit, but 2.2 seconds, no DRS. It's going to be annoying for them, but I'm sure all Jesse has to do is use a lot of ERS. Of course, look at CDM go. CDM's using all of his ERS. Look at Jesse, hasn't used it anywhere near it. So Jesse is looking to be in a good position as Mr. C. Rees gets himself a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting as well. Oh, and he's lost it. Oh, and CDM. Oh, big crash from CDM. Unfortunately, he's lost it, and that I imagine will be a VSC. But he's cooked it under braking. You can see that he not under braking. Sorry, he's just turned in too sharp through there, when especially on some more worn tires. As rears have worn, you got to take it easy. Sometimes you got to make a lift, because that corner can catch you out, snap, and you are gone just like that. And that is both McLaren boys out of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Unfortunate crash for him, but it does happen. But you can see here, look at Electric has dropped down to P3 now behind Chuck by the looks of things. Unfortunately, we missed that due to the crash. No VSC was deployed for that crash. Not a safety car, but not even a VSC. But you can see Chuck all over the back of me now. Chuck's going to go to the outside through the second last turn, but it's not quite going to work. There's going to be wide. Oh, and Mitch is going to be there. Oh, and there's a lot of contact going around, but someone on the outside. Envy is on the outside. Watch this on board with Mitch as he's watching all of this chaos. He's going to look to the inside line. He'll dive up the inside of Electric, but it's not quite going to work. Electric goes wide though. He's got the inside line. Electric's going to have to lift off. Now be Mitch up into P4 in this race, and he's going to look to go towards Chuck Bravis, who is net P2 in this race, and Mitch in net P3 now. Of course, look at that. XD's pulled that 5-second gap they needed. With that 5-second penalty, he's managed to pull that gap. Of course, these guys won't have to make another pit stop. They should be able to make it to the end. Without that, people who will have to make another pit stop still though. We got Electric, Envy, Chuckle, and SpongeBob. Not SpongeBob, sorry, Donster, who all still will have to make another pit stop as a... it's not that they've been on this trial since the start, but I simply don't believe they'll last that long. Now, I've been surprised before at Portimao by these drivers on how well they saved their tyres. I could very much be surprised again here, but I do not believe we're going to see that happen, that is for sure. But they're all over the back of Chuckle Bravis here. DRS is enabled, of course. They'll be able to get him next, but of course Mitch, he's going to be looking really good. He's been saving a bit more ERS than these guys have, and I'm sure he can keep doing it. So if he just sits behind, keeps saving his ERS, he can be looking very, very good in this race. These guys are using all of their ERS to stay ahead of one another, and it's proving to be bad for them, because you can see Mitch sitting at 20% more than them, and then behind them, wait a minute, it's Short Marcus. Of course he's got to pit again, but Short Marcus up into P5 in this race, and he is chilling on ERS, sitting on 70%. We're going to come up to the first DRS zone now, and look at just how close he is to the back of the other brothers. The two guys right next to each other, but of course they've got no ERS, and Mitch knows this, so he's going to take full advantage when he can down the inside. He goes, oh, and here goes Mitch down the inside. Of course, still another DRS zone. He switches him out. Mitch, what a move! Opportunistic move, and finds himself up into P2. He's going to start there towards the XD now, as he's going to want to be. You can see everybody running super low on ERS. Just look at this battle. Look at everyone go in this mid-pack. Side by side goes Chuckle and SpongeBob. And SpongeBob now finds himself up into P4. Chuck is sitting P3, and they're going to have to now push towards him. You can see Mitch already starting to pull a gap. Two Aston Martin boys going out. Sure, Marcus finds himself back up into P5. He's going to head now towards SpongeBob. You can see IRS, Donster going at it with other people. Jesse, another one fighting it through. A lot of drivers here coming back through. All of these guys looking good. Jesse, although he's spun, he's going to be making it out to the end, so he's still looking quite good in this race. As Bravis comes in the pits, I'm sure he's going to change his wing or something like that. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have stayed it out longer on the softs. Oh, he's going into another set of softs. Doesn't have to change the wing, he's just going on to another set of softs. Very interesting strategy to see there from him. But you can see Mitch is in P2, of course, but XD he's got a 6.5 second gap, so it's really not doing Mitch much of a favour, unfortunately. Thanks to Electric Envy staying out, it's allowed XD to pull such a big gap to him. All he can do is put his head down for the rest of this race and try to bring that gap back down. But you can see Chuck is all over the back of him here. He's got no ERS, though Chuck doesn't. Mitch is so much more ERS, and Mitch will be taking that ERS. You can see Chuck using all of it in DRS range. SpongeBob, though, behind with not much more than him, but he's going to go to the outside, late on the brakes, very, very close, and around the outside he goes. It'll be the inside for the next corner, but it'll be the outside for the next one, and he holds around the outside. SpongeBob up into P3 in this race. Good drive, of course, from SpongeBob. Chuck in P4 down to P4 now, and he won't be very happy with that. Sitting low in the ERS. Oh, Marcus, no! Oh, he's made such a good comeback. He's reset the track there. Marcus made such a good comeback. Reset the track, and it's unfortunate. Not what you wanted to see. Had gone from a disappointing qualifying to find himself all the way back up into P4, to just be shot right and just be absolutely shot there, and he's now gonna drop down to P8-9. Although he still had a full other stop always to go, that isn't gonna be what he wanted, obviously, but he's gonna have to try and deal with what he's got, as Chris actually goes past him too, and you can see the lap car of Anson is by an Electric Envy still dropping down, as Jesse has to come in for another pit stop. And let's just see this guy's race going down, 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 and even more down. But you can see SpongeBob on the back of Mitch. He'll just save ERS now. It's getting to the point where these guys have used way too much ERS. They just need to sit behind one another, save it, and then use it when they really, really need to. There's no point trying to use it all now just to get ahead for the time being, because they'll just get back ahead the next one. You've got to lift off, save that ERS, because if you use it all now, you're going to struggle later to defend. Whether you're defending or attacking, you need a lot of ERS no matter what. And having none of it really makes your life difficult, especially if the other person, like Mitch does, has a significant amount more. But you can see a lot of these guys are sitting around about 10%, which is surprising to see. I would expect that would be a lot higher than that. With they usually are at saving RS. We can see Mitch quite wide through there, and SpongeBob all over the back of him, both in Rebel cars, of course, but one of them is the sister team, Alpha Tauri. So whether there'll be some team orders going on within the team there, or whether it's pedal to the metal you guys are free to race sort of thing. H Taylor though, we gotta keep him in mind. He's managed to find his way up into P7, back up into P7. H Taylor is. I didn't opt for the medium tyres on the pit stop either. He opted for the hard tyres, so he's on the hard tyres and he's trying to make his way back up through the grid, back up into P7, and he's going to the end. How big his penalty is? He's got 3 seconds, so it's better than others. But Mitch still under attack from SpongeBob, and here goes SpongeBob down the inside. He goes late on the brakes, doesn't quite get it to happen there. He's gonna stay behind, he's gonna hold it behind, and then he'll be nice and close coming onto this straight now. He's gonna use all of his ERS to get past Mitch. Mitch is gonna use all of his to defend. There's no point using it to defend because you're only gonna waste it. Let him get past and then fight it later, but you can see that he's everything, and he's gonna try to round the outside, but he doesn't quite work, and Mitch holds onto the position for the time being. But you can see visually, you can see like you can see the likes of Hella High and Donster closing up onto those two bottom podium positions, and they're really going to want to get themselves onto the podium in this race. But of course the Haas boys making a good comeback now, sitting P7 and P9, doing quite well. Those medium tires though are going to start to drop off towards the end of this race. Those hards, I don't think the hards are very good around Abu Dhabi, but Taylor seems to be driving them quite well, and if he can keep doing this, when those mediums drop off, he's going to be looking good. As two people come into the pits, and SpongeBob is hit with a 3-second time penalty. That's going to put H Taylor now up to P5. If H Taylor goes from last to first, I swear to God, I'm going to lose it, mate. He is driving like a beast at the moment. That safety car has brought him right back into it as Jesse sets a new fastest lap with a 37.7 down in P12. He's gonna go up a position due to the pit stops, but he's up into P11 now due to people making their pit stops. But you can see, of course, a driver we got to give some love to XD. He's doing very well. He managed to get P2 in the last race after having his penalty as he crossed. Actually, he got P3 in the last race. But it allowed him to get the lead in the championship, and you can see just how good of a driver he is, and he's proving himself. He's got a 7.6 second gap to those drivers behind in his Ferrari, and he's just cruising out in the lead, no mistakes, no issues, and just doing what he can. As after this lap, we'll just about come around to have 10 laps remaining in this race, and these guys are going to want to do everything in their power to get right on past each other. But you can see SpongeBob still all over the back of Mitch. Mitch's tires 1 lap older. Taylor now, H Taylor up into P4, but there's an 8-second gap he's got to close now to these guys. They all have penalties, but SpongeBob and Taylor, Mitch doesn't have a penalty actually. SpongeBob and Taylor's are both the same of 3 seconds. But so SpongeBob really needs to get past Mitch, and he needs to get a gap. He needs to get as much of a gap as possible. Of course, the XC still sitting on a 5-second time penalty, but he's got a bigger than a 5-second gap, so he's looking quite good in this race. But around the final corner, he'll come up onto the straight. He may not be able to get it done down this first straight, but you can see they have quite even ERS. You can see Mitch isn't going to fight it. If he gets past on this straight, Mitch doesn't have to fight for the next one. He goes down the inside, he'll go past, and the Mitch can just get right back past on the next straight, no problem. Down the inside he goes as they come up onto the straight, and he is ahead, he is past, but Mitch, look how close he is. He's got DRS, he's got ERS, he'll sail right back past him, no problem. And that right there is all you got to do. Do that every single time, and you'll defend no problem. But you can see just like that, Mitch holds on to P2 in this race, but this scrapping will allow H Taylor to close up on his hards, and those hards will be a lot better towards the end of the race. So you don't want to have them scrapping too much, but of course we want to keep an eye on this fight behind. H Taylor has a good gap to these guys, but of course you got Town now, who's up into P5 on 10 lap old medium tires, who he would have pit under SC, and he's made his way back up into P5 in this race. Not the race the Mercedes boys would have really wanted, but of course this SE has really brought some drivers back into it. I didn't expect to see back lots of SpongeBob. I didn't expect to see H Taylor. Didn't expect to see back here. down. But of course, we expected to also see Chuck Bravas up here, but he's put onto a fresh set of softs. He's going to be fighting his way back through the field shortly. He's down in P9. He's up into P8 now as the driver ahead of him actually comes into the pit, so he doesn't have to worry about that. As we go back into the fight between Mitch and SpongeBob, he's behind him. He's going to come up and activate DRS. He's not going to use any ERS. He's going to try and stay behind, make it happen on the second corner. Honestly, if I was Mitch here, I'd let him go past, sit behind him, save ERS, get him on those last few laps. Because if you get it, if you just focus on defending now, yes, you may be able to do this lap after lap after lap, but you're not going to, it'll be a lot easier if you just wait to the end, save ERS, and sail on past, because that way, H. Taylor can't really close up enough, and you guys are fine. But you can see, it looks like SpongeBob may even be looking to try and do that. But they're just sitting way too low on... they're just sitting way too low on ERS, unfortunately. But obviously they're in a they're both sitting on the same ERS, so it doesn't matter too much. But it looks like there was contact there between Hella High and Chuck Bravas, and there might be damage to the Ferrari's car. It doesn't look like there is visually, but of course if we see him come into the pits, we do in fact know why these guys still going. And SpongeBob has come into the pits. SpongeBob going onto a set of soft tires. That's interesting. That's allowed Mitch to just get even more of a gap, and hey, Shayla, he's going to find himself back on the podium in this race. He's back up into P3 now. He's going to go, SpongeBob though, going to set of soft tires. An odd decision. I didn't expect this decision to be made, but it has been. You can see we'll come out of the pits. Whereabouts will he come out? He'll come around about P7, just ahead of Jesse. So Jesse would have liked to have another position, but it's not looking like he's going to have it. H. Taylor still struggling to close up on Mitch on his set of hard tires, because he probably should have opted for the medium tires, but having to fight through the pack and do it on a hards, it means later on the race when his hards will kick in with around about 5 laps left, and they will start to become better, and that's when he can start to push. But of course, he's also got a 3-second time penalty on top of this. His car is another one who gets a 3-second. He's currently sitting in P11 in this race. 16 races still left. 8 laps left to go in this race. XD with a comfortable lead of 8 seconds over Mitch in the red, but of course Mitch had to change his front wing, and I'm sure if Mitch didn't have to change his front wing, he'd very much be up there with XD fighting for position. But I'm not sure what got him that front wing damage, and I can't tell you for certain, but I'm sure there's a bit of contact somewhere that we missed, and it meant that he found his way up a position there. But we can see Chuck all over the back of Hella High now on his fresh soft tires, pushing on ERS. Not much longer in this race. These drivers are going to defend for their lives. Of course, he's going to look to get his move done as soon as possible. When you're on the fresh soft tires, you just got to get him past, because lap after lap after lap, those tires are going to wear out. They're going to even out. So you can see Hella High comes into the pits, and there is Chuck up into P6 in this race. And then you got SpongeBob, someone else on fresh softs you want to keep an eye out for. Jesse though is the next car behind Chuck, but he's on more worn medium tires, so it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get himself past Chuck anytime soon. He's going to have to sit behind. He's going to have to wait and just hopefully pull himself along in the DRS and pull himself up a few positions. So as we see someone else as Hella High is coming out of the pits, he will come out P15. So further down, he would have loved to see a little mistake from Kyra. He corrects it though, and he's sitting in P10. Short Mark is still sitting a decent P9 from where he started. I'm pretty sure he started P14, so to find himself back up into P9 is still quite good. He's going to be pushing towards a few of these drivers ahead. I'm surprised to see some 2 stops. I very much thought it would have been a 1 stop from softs to mediums, but I mean, with the safety car, it did kind of shake things up. I'm sure without the safety car, it would have very much been a soft to medium strategy for everyone throughout the field. There's a yellow flag for a bit there, but doesn't look like it is actually anything serious. He's gotta still make sure we give some screen time to XD though. He's been out in the lead. He hasn't had much action, but he's been driving well, and we got to keep that in mind. Mitch still sitting behind him, P2, with a good gap to H. Taylor, P3, and then you got the cars behind. Jesse though is actually closer to Chuck, so Jesse's showing that he has some really good pace, and whether he's on medium super warm medium tires or not. I mean, he's not on super warm medium tires, but whether he's on warm mediums or not, he can still have the pace to close in and pass drivers. He'll activate DRS, ERS down this back straight. He'll be looking to find himself up into P6 in this race. On the back of Chuck he goes down around the outside. He'll go deep under brakes around the outside, gets it done before the corner, but of course Chuck will most likely come back at him here. He would have wanted to wait one more chicane, then could have made it happen, but of course now he's going to activate all his ERS to stay ahead, and you can see there's too big of a gap. Jesse is now up into P6 in this race. A lot of drivers on fresh softs which are going to be fighting their way through, but you can clearly see those who decided to stay out on those tyres from the safety car period were much quicker. They ain't a problem, and you can see it's pretty clear that a few drivers didn't know that information, and it's going to catch them out here. But H. Taylor to be back on the podium from P20 and then having an incident early on the laps, he's definitely done very well so far in this race. Chuck is struggling to stay on the back of Jesse, both low on ERS. He's struggling to stay on the back. I mean, it's not going to look like he's going to be able to get that position back. As much as I'd like to see them fight for position, it doesn't look like they're going to do so. As Mr. C. Rees gets hit with another 3-second time penalty, and that's going to add him up to, I believe, 6 seconds, which is unfortunate. I got 6 seconds in mind. I really thought I was going to get away with no penalty, but no penalty would have gotten me the win, so that would have been amazing. But it wouldn't. Yes, it would have. Sorry, but enough about that. It is what it is. Penalties, of course, can be a huge problem, especially when there's a late safety car that comes into play. They can be very annoying to deal with, but Chuck's still all over the back of Jesse. I mean, he's not as close as he would like to be, but he's still in DRS range, and that's all that really matters. As long as he's within that DRS, he can at least hold on, pull himself closer to him. But someone else who is in DRS is Isa Donsler, who's in the DRS of Chuck, who's in the DRS of Chuck, who's now dropped out of the DRS of Jesse. As we see Mitch crash. No! Mitch is out of the race with only a few laps left until she up to P2. Oh no! I was enjoying Mitch's race so much. He was doing so well, and he's crashed on the straight. And that is a late safety car. What do I say about penalties and late safety cars? Deja vu, as a late safety car hits in this race as well as it did in the other race. Short mark's going to come to, and everybody, I imagine, will be pitting for a new set of tyres. This is going to bring everyone back into it, and unfortunate for Mitch. Wow, so this is really not what XD would want, because he's been sitting out in the lead cruising, but this is now going to give H. Taylor a go at the win here. No, H. Taylor's not. I refuse to believe H. Taylor is going to go last to first. I refuse to believe so. To have the issues and then 2 safety cars in this race, it's really brought him back into it. Of course, a few drivers are already pit for those softs, and a few drivers might go into newer softs, a few drivers might stay out on the softs. If I was SpongeBob, I would be definitely staying out myself. SpongeBob might end up winning. There's a lot of drivers who could really end up winning. I don't think we'll see XD or Taylor stay out. They'll lose too much time on really old tyres. You can see Taylor, XD is in. He will make a pit stop. I imagine I don't imagine he'll lose any position. H. Taylor, he comes in, repping the George Russell helmet, looking good. He'll come in, slow down to the pit limiter. I imagine he'll be onto a set of softs. Chris is in. But SpongeBob, like I suggested, SpongeBob stays out. He's on 3-lap old softs. It's not really worth pitting for him. He could very much contend for the win. He's gonna be in the lead just about as they come out, which is what he wants. Oh, it's gonna be close, and he's not actually. So this could actually be what XD needed. To have him stay out, XD is now going to have that gap, and it means those drivers have got to get past SpongeBob, and in order to get to XD, one of the drivers being H. Taylor, and it's going to make it a lot more difficult. And if Jesse decides to stay out too, he's currently sitting P3. If Jesse decides to stay out too on his 9-lap old mediums, he will also be one to struggle towards the center of the race, and he's going to hold up Taylor a treat. So XD might very much be sitting in the perfect spot here. Yeah, but unlucky for me, so unlucky to see him go out. He was having such a good race, but well, I'm sure we'll only be imagine 1 lap under SC as it's late in this race. Same thing that happened in the other races, 1 lap under SC, and then we're back underway for 2 laps of racing. Of course, they couldn't keep us out for too much longer. There you go, safety car in this lap. These guys are a lot closer though, so there's a lot more people who are under SC. These guys will try to close up as much as possible. Of course, that's probably why some of these guys chose not to pit, because if they had a pit, they would have came out too far back to catch the pack in time. But everyone down to short Marcus has caught the pack, and I don't think anyone else is going to be able to. XD is leading. They're going quite slow at the moment, running under 100 kilometers. Now we don't want to see any crashes under SC. We don't want to see any penalties under SC. But when they get back underway, this will be interesting to watch SpongeBob come back at XD. But he probably XD doesn't even have to deal with DRS. They've all got a shit ton of ERS, nothing to deal with DRS wise. A few of these guys don't have the best ERS, but he'll save, he'll get ready, he'll weave. They'll come to the final few corners. We'll get ready to go back underway as he gets going, and there he is gone to the final corner. He goes, and back underway we are now as Jesse's already all over the back of SpongeBob, and H. Taylor is behind him. He's already going to look to the inside. He's not going to get it done as Jesse actually goes to the inside. He's not going to get it done either. H. Taylor needs to get something done here, and it's not looking like it's going to happen. Someone else was in the pit, the other half of MC race. But look at things. Oh, and he just about avoids him. Jesse, massive spin from Jesse, and Jesse somehow isn't out, but he does retire from the race. Unfortunate for Jesse, that is his race over, but that's amazing for H. Taylor, because now he's quite easily past. He can find himself back up into P2 in this race. He's going to try to get past SpongeBob as soon as possible, and he's got 1 lap to get past the XD. H. Taylor absolutely flying in this race. Whoever wins out of H. Taylor and XD will take the lead of the championship after this race, but H. Taylor's going to have to sit behind for another straight now. He'll come across the other straight. Will he be able to get past him? Of course, he has more ERS than SpongeBob. Down the straight, in slipstream, he's got fresher tyres, more ERS. He'll shoot it down the inside, goes to H. Taylor, and H. Taylor, in just a matter, oh, he's still going to have to, oh, and there's... SpongeBob goes off, but he drops down position. Either way, H. Taylor up into P2 in just a matter of less than a lap, and he's now got 1.6 seconds to XD though. Like I said, having to get past those 2 cars was going to hurt him a lot. He's sitting around about the same ERS as XD though, so he can still nonetheless try to win this race. You can see he has so much more pace. He is driving the hell out of that car. H. Taylor is. What a drive he is putting on at the moment. He's within such a range. As you can see, XD puts in the fastest lap of the race with a 36. H. Taylor isn't able to beat that, of course, with him having to be behind cars, but the gap might just be that little bit too much big. As Chuck Bravos was disqualified from the session from failing to use tyre compounds, so he actually hasn't changed onto a set of medium tyres, and he's been disqualified because of so that's interesting to see, especially in a league race. I wasn't expecting to see that at all, but XD is pulling a gap on H Taylor now, so it's looking very much like he's going to have this short Marcus, another one fighting through. He's got Donster ahead of him. He uses the RS. He's on a fresh set of softs. Short Marcus, these three in the championship might just finish top 3 in this race. Oh, he's just about going to narrowly miss the back of town, and he's going to push through, and he's going to find himself up into P5 in this race. And they might finish exactly how they are in the championship. XD and actually, never mind, Short Marcus is in P2, but all H Taylor has to do is beat Short Marcus, and he'll find himself into that position, whether he's in P2 and Short Marcus is in P3, or whether it's P2 and P10. Either way, as long as he's in, as long as he's got that lead, he should very much pass him in the championship. The gap's still 1.3 though to the car, and it's not looking like it's going to happen, but it's been a beautiful drive from XD as he crosses the final corner. XD will come across and he will win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at the Yas Marina Circuit. H Taylor will bring it across P2, and SpongeBob will DNF across the line for P3. Oh, but he didn't make it to the line. SpongeBob's going to drop. Oh no! The last corner, SpongeBob. He had one more corner, mate, and it's absolute disaster. What an Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. 10, half the grid DNF'd, half the grid survived. I was not expecting that out of Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but what a drive from XD. He wins ahead of H Taylor, who takes up P2 to go from dead last to P2. He's 100% my driver of the day if I have to give one. He is the game's driver of the day as well, but and mayhem there is SpongeBob bins it to go across the line. He had one more corner left and he bins it. That's unfortunate. Not the race I'm sure a lot of these guys would have wanted. A bit up and down, but it is very much what it is. Unfortunately, if I do some quick maths, we'll see XT increase his championship lead to a good amount of points. We'll see H Taylor go up to P2, and Short Marcus will stay P3 by my quick calculations. That should in fact be the case, but nonetheless, what an Abu Dhabi Grand Prix that was. Despite all the DNFs, all the chaos, what a Grand Prix it was. XD to take the win ahead of H Taylor, ahead of Town P3. I'm glad to be here again today to do some commentary for you all. I'll catch you guys next time for Imola, for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix at Italy. And I'll catch you guys then for that one, for what I hope will be, so as much as this one was, an entertaining race.